What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So there is a scathing report that has come out that confirms everything that myself and others have observed in Joe Biden over the last several years, and that is he is clearly a diminished man from the Joe Biden that we saw just 6 or 7 years ago. That he is suffering from cognitive decline. And the White House knew about it, and the White House covered it up. And in my opinion, the 25th Amendment should have been invoked, removing him from office. Although, that also tells you just how much or just how little the White House thinks of Kamala Harris, who they tried to force feed us over a period of 107 or so days. So the Wall Street Journal interviewed nearly 50 people, including those with direct knowledge of the situation. In the report, White House aides admitted to Biden having, quote, good days and bad days, unquote, and making attempts to manage his cognitive limitations while in office. It comes days after the New York Times report where President Biden was observed to be a little bit older and a little bit slower with each passing day. In the Times report, Biden's position in the White House was described as now merely, quote, a national afterthought. Jeez. There were reports that, and this is something that I reported on, I think it might have been last year or early this year, that most of Joe Biden's itinerary for the day was done during the midday hours, early afternoon, mid-afternoon, because early in the morning he was often either still asleep or in a mental fog. And that he, by the evenings, declines and can't really handle or process information very well. And then there are some days where he just wasn't functional at all. Now remember, he was 78 years old when he took office. Now he's 82. And this is a man that was trying to fool the American people into believing that he could run again and serve another 4 years as president. This is how delusional Joe Biden was. This is how delusional he was. And you got to ask yourself, obviously, where were the aides around this man advising him, Joe, you have to step down. Joe, you're not the same guy. Joe, you can't do this. Where were the party leaders imploring this man to step aside earlier, much earlier, before the disastrous June 27th debate between former President Trump, now President-elect Trump, where we clearly saw for the first time that this man was nowhere near up to another 4 years as president. According to the Wall Street Journal report, Biden's aides began noticing signs of fatigue and occasional mistakes early on in his term. In meetings, Biden reportedly grew tired quickly, especially if they ran long, and would occasionally make errors. To manage this, meetings were intentionally kept short, and on some days when Biden was not at his best, they were rescheduled or canceled altogether. As Biden's health declined, senior advisors like Jake Sullivan, Steve Ricchetti, and Lyle Brainard, that's how you pronounce it, Lyle Brainard, frequently filled in for the president during important interactions. Lawmakers and cabinet members were said to have fewer face-to-face meetings with Biden than their predecessors had with their past presidents. For instance, House Armed Services Committee Chair Adam Smith struggled to reach Biden ahead of the Afghanistan withdrawal, noting that he had more direct contact with President Barack Obama. In addition to his limited interaction with officials, Biden's campaign and public engagements were also impacted. Biden's campaign team often pre-vetted questions from attendees to avoid unexpected moments, and pollsters were said to have limited direct communication with the president. The Wall Street Journal also reported that Biden seemed unaware of the polling data showing him trailing behind Donald Trump. These challenges were further highlighted during a disappointing debate performance in June of this year. I remember when he ran for president back in 2019, 2020, and we could see then that he was not the same man he had been just 2 or 3 years earlier. Now, I think a lot of it got to do with age. A lot of it has to do with the death of his son, Bo. I don't think he was ever the same guy after that. But clearly, sometime around 2017, 18, if you go back and look at the video footage, that's when you start seeing the decline in Joe Biden. And matter of fact, to be honest with you, I want to say when you look at the video footage, his decline, ironically, happened around the time whenever he had that facelift done. Whatever the case may be, when he ran for president, there was unconfirmed reports that Barack Obama pleaded with him, Joe Biden, not to run, saying, Joe, you don't have to do this. This isn't your burden. He could see the decline. But a lot of people feel like this, that basically Joe Biden ran for president because of due to the insistence from his wife, First Lady Jill Biden. Jill Biden was the one who really wanted to be in the White House. She wanted to be First Lady. She wanted to be in this position. And speaking of Jill Biden, there are reports out there that she is sort of, everyone's talking about the first woman president. I know some people say, well, the first woman president was technically Edith Wilson. But a lot of people say that Jill Biden kind of was a president. She was presiding in cabinet meetings with President Biden, something that no first lady before really ever done before. Even Hillary Clinton, if I'm not mistaken, didn't really do that. I know she got flack for, attending some meetings. But Jill was, if I'm not mistaken, in some instances, reportedly, Jill Biden was leading some of these cabinet meetings, which, by the way, reportedly he only had 9 of them during his single term. Donald Trump, I think, had 25. There was reports that Jill Biden, who, as First Lady, really has no formal power, which were given to her via the Constitution. Her role is supposed to be more ceremonial, although as a First Lady, the wife of the president, you're going to have a lot of influence. But she was actually presiding over many important hirings within the administration. So essentially, she was filling in for her husband as far as being president. And I'm pretty sure she played some role in his insistence on running for re-election. So it seems like on at least the domestic policy part, the leader may have been Jill Biden, and I think his name was Anthony Blinken. Anthony Blinken was maybe the leader or the main cog within the White House as far as dictating foreign policy. So Joe Biden, as we all knew, and could pretty much speculate on this, but now we know, Joe Biden he's a figurehead, and now he's an afterthought. And then there was reports last night that both Kamala Harris and Joe Biden rushed back to the White House at the same time, right? There's all this speculation that, maybe we're under national emergency, which is poppycock, because if we were under a national emergency, the vice president and the president wouldn't be seen together. They wouldn't be in the same place. Just like in 9/11, we didn't know where Dick Cheney was for a while. What I think was going on is they probably had some emergency cabinet meeting. And at this point in time, Kamala Harris, perhaps out of empathy or sympathy, is acting president. Joe's there, but Kamala is kind of like the acting president. From what I've heard from reportedly, from different reports, I don't know how true this is, but I read that effectively Joe Biden is kind of like quit. Like he's not even really president. Like he's doing ceremonial shit now. Other than the pardons, he's not really even president like that no more. Like I've heard it's really Kamala. She's not president, but you know what I mean. Kamala and whoever else is really the main guys. Kamala's probably like playing pretend president in the last 30 days or so. And then you got the real people who are really dictating what policy is. And then the media is still not doing their job, guys. They're still not doing their job. What's her name? Karine Pierre-Bijon, whatever the fuck her name is. I can't remember her name for shit. But Karine, whatever. She had a press conference today, and from what I've read and from what I've seen, the press didn't ask her anything about these scathing reports. Nothing. They didn't ask her anything. But I did see them ask, why haven't President Biden addressed the media himself in recent months? And she gave some bullshit line. This is the strategy the White House wants to use. Because he's a doddering, feeble old man who he's out of it. He's whacked out. He's not what he once was. And you can tell from some of the things he's doing, some of the things he said in public. I was right. I said from the get-go that Joe Biden should not be president. He should have resigned or something long ago. He should have resigned, or the 25th Amendment should have been invoked. He should not have been president. But as I said before, that's more of an indictment on Kamala Harris. And I'm not saying this as an endorsement of Trump, because if I see the same signs in Trump, and there are already some cognitive decline in him, but not to the extent that we see with Joe Biden. But if we see that, I'm going to make videos on his ass too. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I call it down the middle. But anyway, just want to report this because we were right all along. And I feel justified. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.